Uptown Charlotte, we're at the Hilton for the ACC tip-off presented by T. Rowe Price. We welcome you back to our continuing coverage here on ACC Network. And great to be at the desk with the national champion Joel Berry, the Hall of Famer Debbie Antonelli, Wes Durham, and pleased to be joined now by the head coach of the Pitt Panthers, Jeff Capel, who gets ready to start year 8. And how is that possible? Seems like yesterday.
It's crazy, man. Year 8. This is the longest I will ever live in one place in my life. And I'm excited. I mean, maybe they will accept me as a Yinzer now. I don't know.
Coach, with that, I mean, you're now the second longest tenured coach in the ACC. Yeah. How have you embraced that? Because I think that's an honor to be in one conference for that long, let alone at one school with how things are. How have you embraced that?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly grateful and feel blessed to be able to still, be the head coach at the University of Pittsburgh. It's something I don't take for granted. I've never taken it for granted. One day since I've been there, when I got into coaching, I never had a dream job, but my dream was to be a head coach and to one day hopefully be a head coach in the ACC. Pitt gave me that opportunity, and we've tried to do good things with it. We've certainly faced our fair share of challenges like every coach has wherever you are. I think the last 3 years we've come out on the other side. Hopefully last 3 years we're 5th in wins in our league behind Duke, Carolina, Clemson, and Virginia. And we're close, to a couple of those schools. So, and that's after having a disappointing January and February of last season. So, I'm excited about where we are. I'm excited about being the coach there and about what I think we can become this year, and look forward to the journey with this group of guys that I have.
Jeff, when I think about you, I think about relationships, family, the influence of your dad, and then having your brother on staff with you. You've had your staff for a long time as well. To Joel's point about being in a league as long as you've been in the league and having success, what do you think are the keys to the consistency with which you've been able to build?
Yeah, I think, the first 4 years obviously were really, really difficult. And I knew when I took the job that it was going to be a difficult, I said rebuild at the time, but it was really a build because Pitt had no equity in the ACC. There was no success at all. When I took the job, I remember going out to recruit, and I'm not talking about nationally. I'm talking about the other side of the state. I'm talking about to Cleveland, which is 2 hours away, and they had no idea we were in the ACC. And then you top that the first 4 years, you have a global pandemic, one-time transfer, and you have name, image, and likeness that come into effect. So the world changed, college landscape changed. The last 3 years, we've been able to figure out the type of guys, the toughness, the chip on your shoulder, the something to prove. And when adversity hit us, we were able to get off the mat. That's where we didn't do a good job last year. We were a really good team in November and December. We were a top 25 team. We started the league 3-0. We had an injury to a key guy, and we just couldn't – we were close. We lost a lot of close games, but we couldn't get we couldn't just get over that hump where the previous 2 years we had the toughness, the togetherness, and the competitive spirit where we were able to do that. My hope, and I think with this team that we have this year, that we'll have that.
Guys, I was in practice last week. Coach Capel let me in, and I'm telling you, the way you just described what you want is what I saw. You might not have that big, giant 7-footer, but you've got a lot of guys that look like they're long and athletic. They're committed. The defensive drills and the things that you were working on and the decision-making that came with the pace of play was, I thought, outstanding.
Well, I appreciate that. At the end of last season, there was no one that was more disappointed than me and our staff. It was an opportunity last season that we had to take a jump, and we just didn't do it, and that's on me. We made a decision after the season of, in recruiting that we've got to get tougher. We've got to get back to that. We've got to get back to the edge that we've had the previous 2 years. And I thought we had it last year. The kid that got hurt was the one that brought it to us. Joel, you'll appreciate this as a player and Deb as a coach. Like, when that kid got hurt for the rest of the season, in any timeout, I never had to say, hey, talk to Pitt. I never had anyone that was close to getting a tech for being in somebody's face or anything like that. And, we miss that. That's who we are. That's who our city is. And and I think in recruiting, when we went to the portal, that's what we looked for. And like I told our team, we are not the most talented, but we haven't been over the last 3 years. But what we can be is the toughest, the most together. We can fight. We can do all of those things. And so I really like what we've done so far. Now we got to go out and do it when the lights come on.
It seems like, and you're not the only one that has this, you kind of had a reset of the roster a little bit. You bring guys in. You have guys that carry over. You got one of each that fascinate me about where your team can go. Cam Corrin's played a lot of basketball in the ACC. He knows how the league works, right?
Yes.
He's probably got to get you more than 11 and 5 a game like he did last year. The guy I'm fascinated about, though, is Barry Dunning Jr. because Barry Dunning Jr.'s played – this will be his fourth school because I've measured it. All Sun Belt a year ago, right?
Yes.
16 points, shot 48% from the floor. But here's the thing. He's a getter.
Yeah.
20 or more in 4 of his last 8. And, Joel, he had 46 at Texas State. Those kind of guys, they're just not available everywhere in the portal, right?
Where do you see Weatherspoon?
No, what? I mean, that's what I mean.
Okay, yeah. Like what you're talking about.
But it's the right guy at the right fit, right?
Well, one of the things we really tried to look at, and so if you look at Barry Dunning, like you mentioned him, if you take his last 10 games.
Correct.
And you look at his numbers, like we think that's going to carry if you look at the shooting numbers and the three-point numbers. But the other thing are the intangibles. When you look at Barry Dunning, he was on a South Alabama team that was picked last, and they won the league. You look at DeMarco Minor, his numbers may not pop, but he was on an Oregon State team that was picked last that won 20-plus games. He was a big part of that. Even a guy like Noyes Indrusitis, who didn't play at Iowa State last year, didn't play that much, but he was a part of a top 10 team all year and got to experience that and was a really good high school player and a really, really good FIBA player. So we think we need that to transit. So when we went to the portal, we looked at talent, but we also looked at pieces that fit, but also guys that come from winning programs and that impacted winning in a big way. Barry's a guy that we think did that and will do it for us.
Coach, you talk about the togetherness and toughness, and right now, as you preparing for the season, where do you feel like your team is right now? Because it's very important, and I think a lot of coaches throw around the toughness part a lot, and a lot of teams just don't have toughness to me.
Yeah.
So when you look at your team right now, where do you think your team is?
Yeah, I think we've been pretty good defensively. We have the defensive versatility that Debbie mentioned when she saw us practice. The thing that I've been impressed with is how hard they have gone every day. The natural competitiveness. We have not had to rev them up. We've not had to come in and yell or do stuff. It's just naturally there.
And that's important.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge, and especially in our city. It is huge.
Right.
If you look at historically Pitt, from that, and I always say from 2002 to 2014, 2013-14 is when Pitt came to the ACC. But those teams, they may not have been the most talented, but man, they were competitive.
Oh yeah, they were.
They maybe didn't get the best player from Philly. They got the second or third best, but he thought he was better than the best. They didn't get the best guy from New York, but but he thought he was better. So they had a chip on their shoulder. When I think about our program 4 years ago, we were coming off the worst season. People thought, okay, well, Nelly he's coming from Colgate. He's not going to be able to do it at that level. Greg Elliott, coming from Blake Henson. Heck, he hadn't played in 2 years. West Virginia didn't want Federico. It was the right guys at the right time. We had Burton back, Sabonde coming
Ishmael
off.
Leggett.
And so we've been able to find guys that have that competitive spirit and that just toughness and just embrace the city.
Yep.
You mentioned Nelly, undersized point guard, but that kind of toughness. When you look at DeMarco and you look at Brandon, you brought Brandon here for a reason, I assume, because you could have picked a lot of other guys to bring. Explain what you see in those two young men. Yeah,
well, DeMarco, he goes by Polo. He's just an intangible guy, man. He's tough. He is really tough. He's really good defensively. He's been a really good rebounding guard, and I think his shooting numbers can be better if he's taking the right shots. That's the big thing for him. But the intangible, Brandon can score, and we're going to need him to score. He showed it last year when he had opportunity. He probably should have gotten more opportunity to play. But when he got the opportunities to play extended minutes, he played. Joel, I know you probably had 30 points. I was a pretty good player in college. I never had a 30 ball. He had a 30 ball as a freshman. And had some other games in the league where he played really well. And so we need him to take that jump this year to be more consistent doing it.
I think that was the Eastern Kentucky game.
Yep, exactly.
Can I just say the best thing I've heard today at the ACC tip-off is that DeMarco Minor's nickname is Polo.
Polo.
Joel Berry just about went in the floor. Jeff, thank you. Great to see you as always,
Thank you,
man.
guys.
Good luck to you guys.
Yeah.